Welcome to Stock Knowledge and News with Arieous Invest, your trusted source for updates, earnings reports, and actionable insights to sharpen your stock market game. Join us as we explore market trends, decode the latest news, and empower your financial journey with expert stock knowledge. This is Trading Reimagined. Let's get started.
All right, welcome back, everyone. For today's deep dive, we're going to be taking a close look at Tesla.
Yeah.
Specifically, kind of the challenges they've been facing recently.
Right.
We've got a collection of reports and articles here looking at everything from slumping sales numbers in Europe to like this incredibly intense competition they're facing over in China. And obviously, we can't forget about the massive vehicle recall that they just announced.
Big news.
And of course, Elon Musk is a busy guy.
Yeah.
Always got his hands in a lot of different things. So we're going to be touching on that too.
Always something going on there.
So by the end of this, you'll have a really solid understanding of all these different factors that are at play here with Tesla and what it all might mean for the future of the company.
Absolutely.
So
looking ahead.
Let's kick things off in Europe.
Okay.
Some of these sales figures that we're seeing are really pretty eye-opening, to say the least.
They are.
We're talking about a 63% decline in sales in France. Wow.
And almost 60% in Germany, just in January alone.
Last month.
And what's really interesting is that, some analysts are suggesting that this might actually be tied to consumer perception of Elon Musk himself.
Really?
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting because there's definitely been this kind of growing disconnect, I think, between Musk's personal brand and what a lot of European consumers are looking for, I think, in a company like Tesla. I mean, his, political viewpoints, some of the figures he's been supporting have definitely rubbed some people the wrong way. And it seems like that's starting to actually influence their purchasing decisions.
Wow. So do you think this is just a temporary blip, or could this actually do some lasting damage?
I mean, it's tough to say for sure.
Yeah.
It really depends on how Tesla responds to this.
Right.
I mean, if it's a purely political thing, maybe they could try to distance themselves a bit from certain stances.
And that might help, but I think it might also be something a little deeper than that, Yeah. European consumers, they tend to be very values-driven. And so if they're starting to see Tesla as a company that's not aligned with their values, that's a really tough perception to change.
Okay, so Europe is a bit of a question mark right now.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears and head over to China, where they're facing this really stiff competition from BYD.
Oh, yeah, BYD.
Which is a local automaker that's been making some serious waves.
They've been killing it.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
So what's your take on BYD?
Well, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. And what I find particularly interesting is this driver assistance system they've developed.
Yeah.
It's called Eyes of God.
Eyes of God.
Yeah. And from what I've been reading, it seems like it could actually be a legitimate rival to Tesla's autopilot.
Interesting.
And they're offering it at a much more competitive price point.
So tell me a little bit more about what makes this Eyes of God system so unique.
Yeah.
And how does it actually compare to autopilot, especially in the context of the Chinese market?
Right. Well, BYD's really been focusing on incorporating some of the most advanced AI and sensor technology into the system. And they're also in a position where they can really capitalize on the fact that they're not facing the same regulatory hurdles that Tesla is when it comes to things like rolling out full self-driving capabilities in China.
Interesting.
So that gives them a real advantage in terms of being able to offer those advanced features to consumers much more quickly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So do you think this could actually be a turning point in the Chinese EV market?
I think it's definitely a possibility. BYD has a really deep understanding of the Chinese market.
Yeah.
And they're clearly committed to pushing the boundaries when it comes to technology. So it'll be really interesting to see how Tesla responds to this challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've got some uncertainty in Europe.
For sure.
A potential shakeup in China.
And then on top of all that, we have to consider Tesla's stock performance and what Elon Musk is up to outside of Tesla.
Right. He's always got something going on.
He does.
Yeah.
Recently, their stock took a pretty significant hit.
It did?
Like a 10% drop in just 4 days.
Oof.
So is that just a reflection of kind of larger market trends, or is there something more specific to Tesla happening here?
Well, the reports we've got here mention that some analysts are starting to get a little concerned
Okay.
about Musk's potential bid for OpenAI,
Right.
which is this leading artificial intelligence company.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, and the worry is that, it could end up being a distraction from Tesla,
Uh-huh.
and he might have to make some pretty risky financial moves to actually fund it.
Yeah.
And investors don't love uncertainty.
No, they don't.
And this definitely adds another layer of unpredictability to the mix.
And as if all of that wasn't enough,
Right.
then you bring politics into the equation.
Oh, yeah.
And things get even more complicated.
For sure.
It's a mess.
What's the deal with that?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about how Musk's personal political views and his relationships with certain political figures could actually start to impact Tesla.
Okay.
Some people are speculating that it might lead to some, more favorable treatment from regulators, especially when it comes to their self-driving technology.
It's a bold claim.
It is.
But wouldn't that also kind of open them up to even more criticism?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with all the scrutiny that's already surrounding the safety of self-driving cars.
Exactly. And the reports actually highlight some concerns from safety advocates who are worried that any kind of preferential treatment could lead to lower safety standards overall. And ultimately, that could really backfire on Tesla,
Yeah.
damaging their reputation and eroding consumer trust.
Sounds like they're walking a very fine line here.
They are.
Potential benefits, but also potential for some serious blowback.
Yeah, a delicate balance for sure.
Okay, so we can't talk about Tesla without addressing this massive recall.
Oh, yeah, the recall.
700,000 vehicles.
Huge.
That's just a staggering number.
It is.
So give us the details on that, and what does this mean for Tesla moving forward?
Right, so the recall covers a few different models. The 2024 Cybertruck,
Okay.
2015 to 2017 Model 3s, and 2020 to 2025 Model Ys.
Got it.
And the issue stems from a malfunction with the tire pressure monitoring system,
Okay.
which could obviously increase the risk of accidents.
Right.
The good news is it can be fixed with a software update,
Okay, that's good.
and owners should be getting notified by February 15th.
So it's a relief that it's a fixable software issue.
Yeah.
But how common is this kind of thing in the auto industry, especially with electric vehicles that are so heavily reliant on software?
I mean,
Does this raise any concerns about Tesla's quality control processes?
well, software-related recalls are definitely becoming more frequent.
Uh-huh.
I mean, cars are just becoming more and more reliant on these complex software systems.
Right.
But I think this recall does highlight the importance of rigorous testing
Yeah.
and quality assurance in the development process, especially when you're dealing with safety-critical systems like this.
Absolutely.
So it could be a bit of a wake-up call for the entire industry, not just Tesla.
So let's recap here.
Yeah.
Tesla's facing pressure in Europe and China. Investor. Concerned scrutiny over political ties.
Right.
And now this massive recall.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to digest.
It is.
So where does Tesla go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, can they overcome all of these hurdles
Right.
and maintain their position as the leader in the EV space?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we witnessing the beginning of their decline?
That's the question.
What do you think?
Well, I definitely have some thoughts, but I want to hear what our listeners think.
Yeah, get that conversation going.
So let us know in the comments down below what your predictions are for Tesla's future.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, this was a good one.
It really was. And we'll catch you in the next one.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Arieous Invest. Trading reimagined.